Tell me a little bit about the darkness that makes Greg so successful. Because you grew up in a strange environment, and you had quite a colorful childhood as a young man.
Yeah.
You have a son now who's 2 years old, who I guess is celebrating birthdays and Christmas.
Yeah.
But young Greg didn't celebrate birthdays and Christmases. Can you tell me a little bit about growing up and what it was like?
Absolutely. So I was brought up as a Jehovah's Witness. My parents are both baptised. My grandparents, my granddad was an elder until he died, sadly, in 2008. So I grew up in that environment. And as I think a lot of children do, when you see pretty much all of your friends who were from different sort of Christian backgrounds in general, you see things like your birthdays, your Christmases and things like that, and you want to be involved with that. And for me, I think I have this fiery personality. I'm quite outspoken, always have been. And what I found as a youngster, because I couldn't understand what was going on, as all children are the same, you're a child, so you don't get really the reasons behind things. I wanted to have what my friends had. So I guess on one level I started to rebel against my parents. But the fundamentals of coming from a religious family, I think often you develop a moral compass which is really positive. And I think even though I went off the rails quite a few times and did things, what probably a lot of people have done. I don't think I'm any different to quite a few people. I've done some silly things, but probably a lot have. They maybe don't speak about it as much. This is why within the book, in Unexpected, I wanted to get across actually that you can make mistakes. You can be a bit of a wally at times, as I'd like to put it, but you can still come back and succeed.
Yeah.
Now, the background that my parents chose for me as a child, as you follow your parents, was again unconventional, if you like, because there's not as many Jehovah's Witnesses in the world. But I don't regret it, and I don't see it as a bad thing in my life. I know that part of the reason I rebelled was because of it, because as a child I couldn't fathom why a religion would stop you from doing certain things, but I didn't understand the scriptures. I hadn't been taught enough, I guess, at that point. So I saw it from a very simplistic way, rather than actually, this is a choice that my parents have made. They stick by that truth, that choice. They believe that choice. Fair play to them, absolutely fantastic for them. But I think it had an aspect in my life that it meant that, I'm going to be different, and I'm going to sort of butt heads with my parents a bit, if you like. And I'll do what I want to do. And it's probably a very selfish thing, because actually what I think I would have done in that period is probably create a lot more stress for my parents without meaning to, and not in a non-malicious way, but just to get what I wanted out of my life. And that's why to this day, I'm not particularly religious now. I have a belief system of my own, which I keep to myself, which I'm really happy with. But I think being a generally good person is important. And I think actually having that religious start in life helped me understand that and helped me build to what I am now.
You probably had more in common with some Muslim kids down the road than everybody else.
Yeah, completely. And that's the thing. This is what I found really interesting. When the book came out, one of the biggest things people said, "Oh, you were Jehovah's Witness, that must have been terrible." And I was like, hang on. But there's, a billion and a half Muslims in the world. They don't celebrate Christmas. It's not that alien. Like, it's not a terrible thing. We had a different set of beliefs to normal Christianity, if you like. And that had a shaping on my life, and actually as a reason to why I am who I am to this day. So I felt it very important to talk about it. So everybody got a real view of me as a person, why I am who I am, how I've become who I am, not just the training that I did. I didn't want to dictate within the book each training session that I did, because it's boring. Because and the thing is what you find with people who are looking into the professional sport world, they want to find reasons to why you succeeded and they didn't. And if you start listing off all these hard training sessions, they go, well, I couldn't do that. That's why I'm not an Olympic champion. Whereas in fact, you build towards those moments in life where training is incredibly hard. You're doing freakish things. Yes, I'm obviously naturally gifted towards what I do. But there was this long journey that got me to where I was, and it could have been very, very different. I could now be a 30-year-old man doing a very boring, mundane job because I let my schooling fall by the way. So I did lead this lifestyle up until probably really my early 20s, if you like, that was not conducive to professional sport. But thankfully, I met the right people and I made the changes myself in order to go on to succeed. And that was that belligerent belief that I would succeed in sport. And that's what always motivated me.
Continue watching this fascinating conversation for free by clicking on the link below to visit our website, learn from the best minds in the world, and connect with a community of passionate people building the best versions of themselves. Just click on the link below, and I'll see you on the inside.